Hi, so it seems we've recorded way too much footage, we have done way too many projects, and we can't fit it into this episode. So we'll just have to make a series out of this. The Let's Party On series.
Hi everybody, remember there was a really cool episode about party diagrams that there's a link to right there, and this starred in it? Name the project, put it in a comment. Well, here's part two. Part two. And just like Empire Strikes Back, it's better than the original.
Heroes never die.
Yes.
And the recordings are back.
So, there's a TED Talk by Joshua Prince Ramos, who used to be OMA America, and he worked on the Seattle Library, which has similar kind of form, I guess, in the OMA kind of work. And this TED Talk is called Designing the Seattle Central Library. He talks about the program that they worked out about all the different program that is the library function, and then they basically turned it into a diagram, as you can see on the right there. See, the thing is, it says all they did was, okay, here's a diagram, and they realized these are the programmatic things, and they went from there to this model. It's like, well, that's the scheme, that's what it is. And then what they did is they just shrink wrapped the skin around it, this structural skin around the main volume.
And then so similar to the music hall, when you put the program in there and then you shrink wrap it, I like that word, you end up with these leftover interstitial spaces that quite often become the most beautiful public shared spaces, because they're the spaces you leave the outside to come into the inside, but you're not yet into the function.
The danger in this, though, however, is that they did not mention, I think a lot of students think space planning is architecture. They think, okay, I just work out the program and then that voila, I'll have architecture. This is a formal move that they've decided certain programs have solids and they become an enclosed element, and then we'll interplay between them with programs that is open. So you've got introverted spaces and then sort of extroverted spaces. So it's a play of solids and voids. And further to that, they've staggered it and pushed it so that as a result, you've got all these different volumes that are linked within the shrink-wrapped envelope. So it is a formal move that it is about solid and voids based on the program.
Yeah.
The program drove it, but the thing is they still had to apply an architectural move in order to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to highlight the danger in thinking it's architecture is just space planning.
No, well, that's where you end up with boxes with a functional name on it and a door and a window. Where here, they've created forms, but the interstitial spaces, the open spaces, are programmed. They were things that they were asked by the client to supply. They've just, as you said, made them extroverted or, outward spaces, shared spaces, and then they put other functions within. So it's pretty savvy space planning because they've given it non-space in a way, or it's in between two forms.
That's right. So the solid and the void, this is the what, you can write and draw a series of solid and voids, staggered, and then put a skin around it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then see what, this will be a sectional diagram rather than a plan diagram. So the diagrams don't have to be plans. The diagrams can be a plan diagram. So going, just quickly, reminder, back from the book 101 Things I Learned in Architecture School, yes, they are, in this case, thumbnail diagrams that are in plans. But as illustrated before, the diagrams can be sectional. Oh, this is a good one. The simplicity, complexity, and informed simplicity. This is the important way of understanding something. This space, in this case, the simplicity is just 1, 2, 3. One space, using 3 elements to create 3 spaces. So it could be like a supermarket, front of house, back of house, loading dock. Pretty basic, pretty dumb. Or I think a lot of people go, well, I've got all these programs that I have to deal with. I have 12 different programs and I'm going to have 12 different spaces. Well, you can do that. But I think the good projects, and to learn, to realize you can actually achieve 12 different spaces with 3 different volumes. And it's just a way that they relate to each other to create those spaces.
Clever.
And Parti can be used as a guidepost in designing many aspects of a building. So if it is about layers, right, so just like the Casa de Musica in some ways, right, you've got kind of layers. You've got the front of house public space, front of house services, the hall, you know, all that stuff. So if you've got circulation, a set of stairs, would the stairs be another one of the layers? Or would the stairs be something that traverse the layers, that emphasize the experience of these layers? So, you know, but the important one is layers first, and then anything else that comes against that, you go, well, does it help it or does it take away from it? And that's quite an important thing about the main thing. You know, if the main thing is layers, how can you not f it up? And that goes to the fact that diagrams can be three-dimensional, could be a little object. I guess testing out the idea of a form model is important because it gives you this idea of making moves. So instead of making a model last minute, you're going to design the whole building already and you just make an object of it. You make an abstraction of it to realize, well, I'm just making these moves. I'm snapping and bending this thing around, and then I'm pulling things out in this case. However, I think there's a danger in some who just don't know how to make things look the way they are. You know, going back to the diagrams, for example, the box subtracted, well, you need to make the box first. And then to think, well, how do I cut, you know, if cut or slice, people love, you know, slicing things. Well, what does it look like when you slice something? So it's the actual act of making and doing exactly you're saying this. I'm doing this first, and then I'm taking things away. I'm cutting into it, I'm pulling things out. Well, then do that, because that will inform you what it's actually going to behave, how it is going to behave. Because it's easy to just make it look like what you think it looks like, rather than, no, you do the exact thing that you say you're trying to do, and therefore how does it actually appear? So, you know, this is a little diagram by Toyo Ito. Have you been to the Sentai Mediatek?
No.
No, neither. Well, I've really done Japan. This is the diagram. It does talk about porosity and all those things, but I think he's interested in structure. In this case, the building are separated by layers. They have different height based on program, and they also have different lighting, even colors. But what connects them is the main thing. The main thing are these vertical structures. Anything vertical. In fact, they play a structural role. They connect everything vertical. So a series of layers, we're going back to the layer diagram, right? So this is the vertical that transcends all the layers. They are the structure, because anything vertical, you think gravity, you think light, comes from the sun, stairs, lifts, they all go within there. And they punch through those layers. And in fact, the roof on top of that, it's just another thin layer. And so there's also a visual connection between different layers through this structure.
Yeah, I've wanted to go there. I've been to Japan a few times, but it's just a bit out of the way, and I can't find anything else near it. So you kind of do this trek just to see it. Although I've been a fan of it for a long time.
Have you been to Chichu Museum?
Yeah.
It's a long trek. It's a 2-hour ferry ride over there, right, from Osaka?
Yeah, but it's the art island.
That's right.
Naoshima. So you go there for the entire island. It's full of interesting things.
And you got to book way ahead. No, I had someone who went there and just got turned away. Went, nope, you didn't book.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe the person I went with is far more organised than me, but it just seemed like we rocked up. I'm probably wrong.
You usually just rock up.
Usually I'm going with somebody, like Kevin, who's very organised.
So Chichu Museum, you know, the often pictures of it is like this. It's underground, so these are the sequence of spaces, and often you see these pictures. So this looks like a train wreck, right? It looks like a collision of all these kind of forms. So what makes this look like the way it does? Well, the good way to look at it is potentially look at the plans. So this is kind of a axonometric meets plans. What is the thing that stands out as different?
The triangle.
Yes, because all the rest are rectangles. So there's a triangle. What kind of triangle is it?
Equilateral.
Equilateral triangle. So that means there are 3 sides and there are 3 equal things, because a triangle could be any kind of orientation or whatever. So it is equal. So 60, 60, 60. Why is that? So it is there to cater for 3 artists equally. There's the Monet Water Lilies, there's Walter de Maria, and then there's also James Turrell's installation. So there are 3 different galleries. But what's interesting when you go look at the plan is that triangle, and often photographed, is this void, and it's actually a big ramp, and you can see lifts and stairs that goes against it. That is the circulation that links these 3 different artists and 3 different sets of galleries together. And if you look at the plan, geometrically, they all tie to these 3 geometries, because the 3 is what this gallery is about. It is about these 3 artists. And the connector is the circulation that links them all together. So there's an actual order that links all this stuff together.
Yeah, I think that Ando designed that museum to deliberately disorientate. You kind of go into the mountain or into the hill, and then you get these views out of the hill, kind of, oh, am I that way now? Which is his architectural intent. But still, just like Geary with his wobbly building, central to that is a spatial understanding. Doesn't mean you're necessarily smacking the user over the head with it. In fact, with Toyo Ito, you're confusing the user in a very good way. But there still is this very refined spatial intent.
Look, this interaction between these 2 forms. This is the room where the water lilies are. But you come through here on center, but this wall here, being the 6 degrees difference, it forces you to turn around. Then you come to this point, and now you're central, axial to this room. It's so clever play of spaces.
Yeah, a small gesture that forces the user to reorient.
But using the geometry that's already there. Should we talk about this house?
Yep.
So we can look at this house by Athebo y Alonso in Spain. These are the pictures, but here's the model, right? So it's quite a beautiful play. The idea behind this design is that the architects went to site and had a picnic there. They had an umbrella, and they also had a rug, and they realized, well, that's placemaking. You know, all you need to do is shape a rug and then put a umbrella over the top. That's your space. So it's really a play on 2 planes, the ground plane and the ceiling plane. And so the project becomes that it is 2 layers. So you can see it's just literally they're 2 in plan, they're just squares. But the thing is, the planes really undulate and play against each other to form all kinds of surfaces, including this plane coming through to become the garden and coming down becoming stairs. Really rich section, but in plan, look at the plan.
Very organized.
Services. Yeah, so going back to the model, you can see it's just a really articulated series of planes.
This one's a really good example of picking your battles. You know, we want to do this, it's about these 2 planes that are working with or against each other in certain moments. So when we get to a plan, that's what it's about. So when we get to a plan, let's just get the job done. Let's just create these really beautiful but rational organisation of spaces, and not let it compete with the fact that the interest, the story of the building is happening in section.
And in this case, I know it's a big scar there across the concrete, but you can see the intent. You know, this really deep reveal here is used to make sure that looks like it's actually part of the top plane and it's separate from the bottom. Of course, they're structurally and physically connected, but here's the articulation of saying that this is different. There's a separation. The material difference here, so this is the ground. You can see the ground bit here coming up. And again, the shadow line before it touches the concrete. Yes, this is concrete as well, but it's sandblasted. But it's also roughly the same texture as the ground. So it really feels like even the ground itself is molding and coming in and playing the story. The inside, you can see the timber floor coming up to become the walls, to the point that it's also the deck. It's the same color as the deck, and it's the same as all the stairs inside.
But the wall doesn't meet the roof, it meet the ceiling, so therefore you can read that plane continuing through.
Yeah, and even here you can see even that floor being depressed down to become the stairs that goes upstairs. You can see the lining is actually the same material as well.
Yeah, the interior gesture is being pushed to the outside.
Yeah, so again, it's just one main idea, which is the folding of these 2 planes in an orthogonal manner. But sectionally, it is definitely not orthogonal, obviously. It's complex spatial play between different volumes, and therefore defining spaces as you move along.
Choose your battles. Don't make your project do everything. Work out what the most important main thing is, and then work on that. Save the other cool ideas for the next project, because otherwise you end up with competing mess in it.
And yes, here's how it works, right? Here's the structural system and how it all ties together, how it works.
Yeah, illustrating how your building then just wants to get messy and complex, because building is messy and complex, but you've got to hang on to the main thing. You've got to get that diagram sorted before you even go to an engineer, because you've got to work out what is this about. Otherwise, if you haven't pinned that down, the engineer, the builder, council, other consultants will throw their bit in there, and you're not sure what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and it'll start to manipulate into something generic.
So the what you do relates heavily to how you do it, how you can not f it up, how do you not lose the intent of the what.
Yeah.
And as illustrated here, and we're trying to show some of the details, they play an important role in telling the big story.
Yep, and unless you distill that down into that party diagram, I learned a new word, you won't know what to defend when it goes through the arduous process of documentation and building.
It's so easy to get sidetracked.
Absolutely, you start just solving little issues along the way, and it becomes about nothing. We've seen grand designs.
And this is something I didn't understand as a student as well. You know, we used to do construction stuff, construction details and stuff. You just think details are just throw together whatever things that is in a magazine or whatever and throw it together. I didn't understand it was actually about, not just about waterproofing, which is important, and structure and how it stands, but it's actually about the architectural intent. What is the big picture, and therefore how do you detail something to look the way you want it to look? So, you know, Andrew, you do a lot of those roofs pictures that comes down with a, you know, no gutter, or at least seemingly no external gutter, because that's the cheapest, easiest way to do it. But there's a lot of effort and energy to make it look the way they look.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand this. It's just student level. I just thought I just have to do details because details. But details are the manifestation of the big picture.
Mark Austin's main role at AMA is to get the bigger ideas that have been established and then protect them through making. So yeah, he could just go through and just whack friggin' eaves gutters on everything, but it's about detailing in a way that reinforces the intent of the project. It's an incredible skill. We make this shit up as we go. It's just bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And then somehow Kevin edits it with words together to make it coherent. Oh, it's over already. Time flies when you're having fun. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this helpful. Leave a comment.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
We have a Discord channel now. Discord. Yes.
Come and talk to Kevin and I. And say, we hate your episodes. You two suck. Patreon.
Oh yeah, that.
Discord.
Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.